The group called Republican Voters Against Trump.
The new ad from the group, Republican Voters Against Trump.
Republican Voters Against Trump
is out with a devastating new ad. It says tough on Trump, only they didn't have to hire an announcer to read the copy. That's because it's all Lindsey Graham's own words.
I mean, the ad really makes every argument that Joe Biden and his campaign team would ever want to make, and they make it from one of Donald Trump's closest allies on Capitol Hill.
His own voice.
What you see here with this Lindsey Graham ad is an attempt to soften President Trump's support among traditional Republican voters.
It's just one of the best ads I've ever seen in my career.
No matter what other spots get produced this cycle, you have left us with what to my mind is the indelible campaign ad already.
Well, I want to talk to the Trump supporters for a minute. What is Donald Trump's campaign about? He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. And you know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell. If you can't admire Joe Biden as a person, then it's probably you got a problem. You need to do some self-evaluation. Because what's not to like? He is as good a man as God ever created. He said some of the most incredibly heartfelt things that anybody could ever say to me. He's the nicest person I think I've ever met in politics. This is a defining moment in the future of the Republican Party. We have to reject this demagoguery, and if we don't reject Donald Trump, we've lost the moral authority, in my view, to govern this great nation.
What does Nebraska's Republican Senator Ben Sasse think about our president, Donald J. Trump?
Donald Trump's values are deficient, not just for a Republican, but for an American. He's flirted with white supremacists. White power! He mocks evangelicals behind closed doors. His family has treated the presidency like a business opportunity. The way he kisses dictators' butts. He ignores that the Uyghurs are in literal concentration camps. I don't think the way he's led through COVID has been responsible. When you listen to Nebraskans, they don't really want more rage tweeting. He's ultimately driving the country further to the left.
Do you remember when Republicans used to sound like this?
I'd like to see something done about the illegal alien problem that would be so sensitive and so understanding. These are good people, strong people.
Rather than talking about putting up a fence, why don't we work out some recognition of our mutual problems, make it possible for them to come here legally with a work permit, and then while they're working and earning here, they pay taxes here.
But now, Trump's Republican Party has become this.
When Mexico sends its people, they're bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists.
It's time to reclaim the Republican Party from Donald Trump.
Trump's plan was to crush immigrant children, tearing them from their parents' arms, locking them in cages. That was the plan from the start. Now 545 children are alone in the world. They will never see their parents again, never hear "I love you" from their mother or father. 545 children with nowhere to go, no place to call home. 545 children who have had their childhood ripped away. What will that trauma do to them? Who will they become? It's inhuman. It's sick. It's un-American.
They are so well taken care of.
Vote for Joe Biden.
Paid for by People for the American Way and the Lincoln Project, who are responsible for the content of this advertising.
I don't think he's fit for office. I don't think he has the competence to carry out the job.
To go to work for a man who is pretty undisciplined, doesn't like to read.
This morning, former Secretary of Defense James Mattis tearing into President Trump, writing, "We are witnessing the consequences of 3 years without mature leadership."
It was shocking to see the president saying that the virus was a hoax, saying that everything's okay when we know that it's not.
You're not going to use whether it's the military or the National Guard or law enforcement to clear peaceful American citizens for the President of the United States to do a photo op.
He is a racist, he is a con man, and he is a cheat.
I am frustrated at our inability to be heard as scientists.
What we saw week in and week out, for me, after 2.5 years in that administration, was terrifying.
Putin thinks he can play him like a fiddle.
He's undermined the intelligence community, the law enforcement community, the Department of Justice.
He's made unwise policy choices, and those policy choices will result in greater danger to Americans.
I'm not going to vote for him in November.
I mean, I'm standing here freezing. I ask you one little favor, get the hell out and vote. The great red wave. At least you're down there with each other. I'm all up here and that wind is blowing.
That wind was still blowing when Donald Trump walked back onto Air Force One and left all of those people out in the cold. It was the most perfect Trump campaign event so far for Democrats, who said that it mirrored the Trump presidency perfectly. Democratic Nebraska State Senator Megan Hunt tweeted last night, supporters of the president were brought in, but buses weren't able to get back to transport people out. It's freezing and snowy in Omaha tonight. What people will do for this con man, what people have sacrificed, is so sad to me. He truly does not care about you. And today, Joe Biden said this.
Just look at what happened last night in Omaha after the Trump rally ended. Hundreds of people, including older Americans and children, were stranded in sub-zero freezing temperatures for hours. Several folks ended up in the hospital. It's an image that captures President Trump's whole approach to this crisis. He takes a lot of big pronouncements, and he makes a lot of big pronouncements, but they don't hold up. He gets his photo op and then he gets out. He leaves everyone else to suffer the consequence of his failure to make a responsible plan. It seems like he just doesn't care much about it. And the longer he's in charge, the more reckless he gets. It's enough. It's time to change.
According to CNN.com, after the rally, police officers tried to control the scene, but struggled to bring order to the pandemonium. There were no campaign advance teams in sight. One local advance volunteer said they were given no instructions how to get supporters back onto the buses. We need at least 30 more buses, an Omaha police officer said, shaking his head. And so, the Trump death tour has found a new way to threaten the lives of people who support Donald Trump for president. A campaign that hopes to win hearts and minds and votes has instructions for how to get supporters back on the buses, but not the Trump campaign. While Donald Trump is out on the campaign trail lying in virtually every sentence, the White House is busy lying for Donald Trump at taxpayer expense.
Yesterday, the White House Science Office, and this stunned me, put out a statement listing ending the COVID-19 pandemic as a top accomplishment of President Trump's first term. Top accomplishment of Trump's first term. At the very moment when infection rates are going up in almost every state in our union. The refusal of the Trump administration to recognize the reality we're living through at a time when almost 1,000 Americans a day are dying every single day is an insult to every single person suffering from COVID-19 and every family who's lost a loved one.
In these closing days of the campaign, we don't want to help Donald Trump deliver misinformation and lies, and so we will only show video of Donald Trump on the campaign trail when he is telling the truth. Here, then, is everything Donald Trump had to say today on the campaign trail that is true.
COVID.
And here is a demented lie that Donald Trump told in Bullhead City, Arizona today. Donald Trump said, and if you can't follow this, it's not your fault. Donald Trump said, a safe vaccine is coming quickly. You're going to have it momentarily. that eradicates the virus, and we're rounding the turn regardless. You know that. We've got the vaccine. I say regardless. They'll say, well, maybe you don't. We have great companies. That quickly ends the pandemic. Today, Dr. Anthony Fauci said, we are at least a year away from what Donald Trump calls rounding the turn.
I would imagine, at least in the United States, the way things are looking, that if we get a vaccination campaign and by the second or third quarter of 2021, we have vaccinated a substantial proportion of the people, I think it will be easily by the end of 2021 and perhaps even into the next year before we start having some semblances of normality.
And Bob Woodward's tapes have now taken their place on the campaign trail as the gift that keeps on giving in the self-incrimination of Donald Trump and his crushingly incompetent staff. Today, Bob Woodward released tapes of the most ignorant and incompetent son-in-law of a president in history. In the tapes, Jared Kushner incriminates Jared Kushner for saying in April that the doctors were not in charge in dealing with the coronavirus, and saying proudly that Donald Trump owns every bad thing that has happened to this country because the doctors are not in charge. Here is Jared Kushner on tape on April 18th.
I do believe that last night symbolized kind of the beginning of the comeback phase. That doesn't mean there's not still a lot of pain, and there won't be pain for a while, but that basically was, we've now put out rules to get back to work. Trump's now back in charge. It's not the doctors. They've kind of, we have like a negotiated settlement. That in my mind was almost like, it was almost like Trump getting the country back from the doctors, right? In the sense that what he now did was, he's going to own the open up.
This is the Covid spreader. Watch him lumber along with his friend. The Covid spreader is pretty crazy. It has no regard for any other person whatsoever. Oh, and look at all the Covid spreaders in the garden, spreading it all over the place. That's nasty. Ooh, look at this Covid spreader. He don't give a shit. Look at his wet little nose. Ugh, look how he burrows that wet little nose in. Get in there, Covid spreader. Oh no, look at this crazy Covid spreader. This one don't give a fuck. She just yells and yells and yells. What is she yelling now?
The best is yet to come!
Ew, that is so nasty. This nasty one wants her COVID everywhere. Ooh, here's a den of Covid spreaders flipping their hair around all over the place. Covid spreaders don't care. Covid spreaders flip their hair around wherever they want. They don't give a shit. Oh, and there she is. Look at the queen. Covid spreader is looking around to see where she can spray it. Ew, it's gonna be all over the place. Oh, look, here's a fierce battle between Covid spreader and this nice COVID-free gentleman. He's nice and healthy, but Covid spreader don't care. Look at him yelling and launching his droplets. He don't care. Oh, he's just launching his Cubby rockets at him. He don't give a fuck. Look at this Covid spreader. Ew, a fly just dropped right on his head there. He's just living on his head right now, but Covid spreader don't care. Covid spreader don't care if a fly lives on his head. Oh, look at where he is now. He's way up high now. If Covid spreader wants to go way up high, he just does it. Nobody's gonna tell him what to do. Covid spreader has sharp, tiny claws that he uses to put his nasty infected mask away in his pocket hole. Get in there, mask. Covid spreader don't need you. At nighttime, the Covid spreader goes begging. He just goes wherever he wants and begs. Let's see what he has to say this time.
I'll kiss the guys and the beautiful women and everybody. I'll just give you a big fat kiss.
Ew, oh my god, that's nasty, Covid spreader. You're nasty. But Covid spreader don't care. Look at him dancing. Covid spreader don't care if they die. He just dances. He don't give a fuck. Covid spreader likes to punch people when he dances. Oh, look at him go. He gives them the COVID and then he punches them with his tiny little hands. And of course, what's everyone going to take home with them tonight besides this nasty image? COVID. The Covid spreader.
The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything.
We use the word herd, right? Once you get to a certain number, it's going to go away.
Like a herd mentality, it's going to be herd developed.
He does mean
herd immunity is what we're going for.
Anybody who knows anything about epidemiology will tell you that that is nonsense and very dangerous.
Herd immunity is another word for mass murder.
You're sacrificing many members of your population, especially your senior citizens and people living in assisted living programs.
Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans are still being disproportionately infected, hospitalized, and killed by the virus.
If you allow this virus to spread, as they are advocating, we are looking at 2 to 6 million Americans dead, not just this year, but every year.
I'm releasing a plan to combat and overcome the coronavirus.
This is going to go away without a vaccine.
We will lead by science.
Masks matter. It saves lives. It prevents the spread of the disease.
Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all.
Public health professionals must be the ones making our public health decisions.
We're not going to control the pandemic.
It is what it is.
And in this final run, we are witnessing two very different presidential campaigns. Donald Trump held 2 packed rallies in Arizona today. At one of them, he said he always liked Hispanics. And the following needs to be said. It was a point made in a Washington Post analysis piece yesterday, and it's true. Trump's campaign depends on his supporters putting their health at risk. And during an uncontrolled pandemic, that's a fact. Joe Biden spent the day in Delaware, including a meeting with his healthcare advisors. On the coronavirus front, this was another banner day in all the worst ways. We have now topped 8.9 million infections in this country. We have lost over 228,000 of our fellow citizens. The U.S. remains number 1 in the world on both of those counts. The uncontrolled explosion of new cases is straining our hospitals. The number of virus patients climbing about 46% from a month ago. No states are seeing sustained declines in case numbers. Situation particularly dire in El Paso, where the number of people hospitalized has more than tripled over the past 3 weeks alone. And it's the president who continues to tamp down the urgency and deny the threat of the virus that is all around us.
A safe vaccine is coming very quickly. You're going to have it momentarily. That eradicates the virus, and we're rounding the turn regardless. You know that. We've got the vaccine. I say regardless, they'll say, well, maybe you don't. We have it. Great companies, and quickly ends the pandemic. You turn on television, we have great numbers. We have some incredible numbers. You know, mortality is way down and way better than Europe and other places. Biden and the Democrat socialists will delay the vaccine, prolong the pandemic, shutter your schools, and shut down our country.
The COVID Tracking Project indeed reports that today, October 28th, over 78,000 new cases have been reported. Today was top 5 all time, which makes this next development all the more ironic. A press release from the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy touted the administration's accomplishments and included this section, quote, ending the COVID-19 pandemic. From the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic, the administration has taken decisive actions to engage scientists and health professionals in academia, industry, and government to understand, treat, and defeat the disease. To put a finer point on it, claiming defeat of the virus as the virus has now reached its peak in these. It continues to be the early vote. It is staggering. It's now over 72 million votes cast, with 6 days yet to go until the actual election day. The Bidens voted today in Delaware. Amid all that, the Supreme Court tonight declined to block lower court rulings allowing 6 extra days for accepting ballots sent in by mail. In North Carolina, the court also declined to take another look at a similar case in Pennsylvania. That likely has disappointed Trump, who continued his disinformation campaign about mail-in ballots.
Hopefully, the few states remaining that want to take a lot of time after November 3rd to count ballots, that won't be allowed by the various courts. The biggest problem we have is if they cheat with the ballots. That's my biggest problem. And you have governors, Democrat governors, that are players, wise guys.
That they do, Brian. The president has never perhaps seemed more disconnected from reality than he does right now. When day after day, rally after rally, he's suggesting the nation is turning the corner on the pandemic, that the virus is largely behind us, that the vaccine is a moment away to save us, and to not recognize what is happening right now. This is indeed a surge across this nation, virtually every state seeing huge numbers of new infections, a third peak, if you will, one that comes at the worst possible time, of course, for this president as he makes his final case for re-election. And it's one he's making, frankly, in these hotspots. He was in Wisconsin yesterday, a state that is having massive problems with coronavirus infections. He will be traveling back there again this weekend, Michigan too, other states that have had the problem. And if we look at, just for a moment, his itinerary, that shows you just what trouble he's in. There's no real obvious path here for the president. It's a scattershot approach. He's just throwing everything at the map and trying to recreate the magic of 2016 when he drew an inside straight. Those in his there are some in his campaign that believe he should be focused simply on the Sun Belt, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Arizona, and then pour the rest of his resources in Pennsylvania, because he would need Pennsylvania to get across 270, even if he wins those other states in the South. But he hasn't limited that to that. He has, of course, been in the upper Midwest. He has been to New Hampshire. I was with him there on Sunday. And yes, even Nebraska, looking for that one electoral college vote. That was all the hallmarks of a campaign that doesn't quite know which way it's going. There's great alarm among Republicans that the president is in trouble and could drag the rest of the party down with him. They're nervously watching a series of Senate races across the country, fear that they could lose control of the House, of that House of Congress. And in fact, the Democrats may, for the first time in a decade, control all of Washington if Biden is able to win. And it speaks to a lack of defining message here, a closing argument, if you will, for the president. Every night he does say the one line he's supposed to, that a vote for him is about the economy. It's about the Trump recovery. He'll talk about the GDP tomorrow, no doubt. And if you vote for Joe Biden, that's for socialist policies and perhaps a recession. But that argument is drowned out by grievances against the media, against those from the Russia investigation from a few years ago, whatever enemy the president has in his sights at that moment. And it's a stark contrast from where in 2016, because we all remember that campaign being chaotic, but in the last 10 days, he was fairly disciplined. He largely put Twitter aside, and night after night on the campaign trail, he hammered home a few key messages on immigration, on trade, alleging corruption by Hillary Clinton. He made those arguments clear every night. This time around, he's not at all, and his strong arguments are lost in the noise and the fog.
Normal life will fully resume. That's what we want, right? Normal life. Normal life. And next year will be the greatest economic year in the history of our country. A vote for sleepy Joe Biden, and he is a sleepy guy, I tell you.
I'll be a president who is not in it for himself, but for others. President who doesn't divide us, but unites us. President guided not by wishful thinking, but by science, reason, and facts.
On Saturday, Obama will be campaigning with Biden in Michigan. New polling gives Biden an 8-point lead there. Washington Post ABC News poll has him up by 7. In Wisconsin, Biden leads Trump by 17 points.
You have a disproportionality between what issues people are vocal on and what the people, the voters, really care about. And what Trump's been able to do is, I say he's basically did a full hostile takeover of the Republican Party, and I don't think it's even as much about the issues. I think it's about the attitude.
So, Lonnie, you heard what passes for the modern-day Harry Hopkins. If this was indeed a hostile takeover, and I presume you concur with that, what's next?
Yeah, I agree. I think it was a hostile takeover. I think if you remember back in time, after the 2012 campaign, the Republican Party conducted an autopsy. And the autopsy of that 2012 campaign essentially concluded that the Republican Party had to be more inclusive. It had to be more diverse. It had to campaign in communities it traditionally had not campaigned in. And essentially what we got in 2016 was a candidate who went against a lot of that advice and went in a very different direction. So the idea of a hostile takeover, the idea of the Republican Party looking very different now 4 years later, I think is true. In terms of what's next, I think a lot of it depends on what happens on Tuesday. in terms of how much and how enduring Trump's influence is on the Republican Party afterwards. I do think if he loses on Tuesday, it's going to be a significant battle between different parts of the Republican Party, different pieces of it, some of which want to continue elements of the Trump agenda, some of which want to further the attitude that Kushner talked about. But I do think it's going to be fascinating to examine what happens to the party and whether, in fact, it starts to hew back toward that 2012, 2013 autopsy line or develops further along the line that President Trump's taken at the last few years.
I want to show you Trump today with Martha McSally. And as folks watch this, remember, this is a woman who has signed over, as have many members of the U.S. Senate, her political life to Trump and Trumpism. She is fighting for her political life in return for this.
Martha, come up just fast, quick. Fast. Fast, come on, quick. You got 1 minute. 1 minute, Martha's sake. They don't want to hear this, Martha. Come on, let's go. Quick, 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 quick. Come on, let's go.
All right, I'm coming. Thank you, President Trump.
Robert, I'm tempted to ask how he treats the people he likes.
They lied, they cheated, and it worked.
The Senate has just voted to confirm President Trump's nomination of Amy Coney Barrett.
She is the third Supreme Court justice picked by President Trump.
The GOP has officially stolen the Supreme Court, and now they're trying to steal the 2020 election.
I think this will end up in the Supreme Court.
Roberts, Kavanaugh, and Barrett have plenty of experience stealing elections. Remember Bush v. Gore? And they've already started pulling the same tricks for Trump. What can we do? Vote. In fact, don't just vote. Vote early. Bring your friends to vote. Then support organizations that are mobilizing people to vote. We need to win with numbers so overwhelming that no matter how much they cheat, the victory is undeniable. We lost the battle. We can still win the war.
Your first statement was, are you ready for tough questions?
Are you?
It's a moment every parent understands.
Sir, they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
This is 60 Minutes. And we can't put on things we can't verify.
Your child throws a temper tantrum in public.
That's enough. Let's go.
You feel the embarrassment to your bones.
Fellow Republican Senator Bob Corker tweeting, "It's a shame the White House has become an adult daycare center."
Remember when the Republican Party had adults?
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Trump has turned the party of Reagan into a party of whiny little boys.
I'm a whiner and I keep whining and whining until I win.
A party of schoolyard bullies who insist they're the victim.
The media is so fake and so corrupt.
A party of children who pout instead of solving problems.
I take full responsibility. It's not my fault.
America, you deserve better. You deserve an adult as president, not a little boy.
Trump loves Putin.
Says Trump is brilliant. I love that when he says I'm brilliant.
I do have a relationship with him. He is a tough cookie. He's big, he's strong. Strong man, big, tough guy. Putin even sent me a present. Beautiful present with a beautiful note. He says great things about me. I'm going to say great things about him. I like Putin, he likes me.
I like it.
Meet the radical leftists preparing to take over the Senate.
U.S. Senator Gary Peters is kicking off his 4th annual motorcycle tour today.
Agents of chaos. They want to tear us down into total anarchy.
Retired NASA astronaut Mark Kelly is running for Senate in Arizona.
Be terrified of their un-American values.
I grew up on a farm. I like to tell people that's where I learned how to play hard on the farm. But it's also where we learned how to work hard.
They can't be trusted. They will tear this nation apart.
It's not about what side of the aisle we're on. Even our deepest divisions can be overcome.
And don't listen to what they say, okay? Listen to what they do.
After 9/11, I enlisted
and went overseas to serve in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
I've lived the American dream. I grew up in a mobile home, and I'm now running for United States Senate. That only happens in America.
You gotta be so afraid you can't think for yourself.
The family is a criminal enterprise.
Russian mobsters and corrupt oligarchs use Trump's properties not only to launder vast sums of money, but even as a base of operations for their criminal activity.
Money tied to human trafficking and prostitution rings, that's another big one.
I'll tell you what, it's an organized crime family as far as I'm concerned.
According to the Times tonight, President Trump has a previously undisclosed bank account in China. That company, mysteriously, showed a huge spike in revenue right after Trump was sworn in as president.
He goes to China, the kid is followed like a vacuum cleaner. Follows and follows and follows.
Ivanka Trump, her business won trademark approvals in China the same day she met the Chinese president at her father's Mar-a-Lago resort.
Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner made at least $82 million last year while serving as unpaid White House advisors.
Here's a guy didn't have a job, but now he's taking in millions and plenty of it.
There are new questions tonight about the Eric Trump Foundation.
Charity golf events meant to raise money for children with cancer.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars went to the Trump family business.
It's a crime family. He's following his father.
A crowdfunding campaign to build sections of the southern border wall.
This is private enterprise at its finest, doing it better, faster, cheaper.
Bannon is accused of taking nearly $1 million of that campaign to fund his own lavish lifestyle.
The only thing he built up is a huge bank account for his son.
What a disgrace. It's a crime family.
How would Trump have handled the Nazis taking over Europe?
He's the head of a country, and I mean, he is the strong head. He speaks and his people sit up at attention. I want my people to do the same.
Very fine people on both sides.
Or the attack on Pearl Harbor?
No, I don't take responsibility at all. It is what it is.
How would Trump have responded to the Cuban Missile Crisis?
One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear. He just said it's not Russia. I don't see any reason why it would be.
How would Trump have reacted to 9/11?
Blue states had tremendous death rates. If you take the blue states out, we're really at a very low level.
Saudi Arabia, and I get along great with all of them. They buy apartments from me, they spend $40 million, $50 million. Am I supposed to dislike them? I like them very much.
When COVID hit, Trump panicked. His failure has resulted in more than 225,000 American deaths, and he continues to deny reality.
COVID.
We're rounding the corner. It's going away.
We need a president who can handle crisis. Because with Trump, this crisis, or the next one, may be our last. Vote Joe. Save America. Midas Touch is responsible for the content of this advertising.
There's mourning in Wisconsin. Today, hundreds of thousands of Americans have died from a deadly virus Donald Trump ignored, praising China's response instead of heeding the warnings, then blaming them to cover his own failures. With the economy in shambles, people across Wisconsin are still out of work, one of the worst economies in decades. This afternoon, millions of Americans will apply for unemployment, and with their savings run out, many are giving up hope. Millions worry that a loved one won't survive COVID-19. There's mourning in Wisconsin, and under the leadership of Donald Trump, our state is weaker and sicker and poorer. And now, Americans are asking, if we have another 4 years like this, will there even be an America?
Absentee good, universal mail-in, very bad.
First, Trump tried to suppress our vote by disabling the post office. When Texans pushed back and elected to vote in person, Governor Abbott ordered restrictions on drop-off locations to just one per county.
Counties can now only offer one location.
That would mean just 3 drop-off points for millions of voters in Austin, Houston, and Dallas, and every other large city and county in Texas.
To use a single drop-off location in these massive counties is not only prejudicial, but it's dangerous.
Abbott's decree is a clear violation of voters' rights. It's undemocratic in more ways than one, but he hopes that our fear of long lines in a COVID world will keep us home. He knows his buddy Trump is losing his grip on Texas, and he knows that our vote will make the difference. He doesn't get it. He doesn't understand our determination, our will, and the power of our vote. What will we do? We will show up to vote. We will stand or sit in line 6 feet apart for as long as we must. But we will vote. And we'll vote for Joe Biden. Because when we turn out, the cheaters lose.
The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm a registered Republican voter.
I'm a lifelong Republican.
I just can't vote for Trump.
I am not voting for Trump this year.
This man that's running the show right now is a slow-moving train wreck, and guess what? We're all on the train.
I'm so tired of all the division.
Division and hatred he has purposely fostered in this country.
Trickled into our own families.
He lies to us all the time.
His handling of the coronavirus has been disastrous.
His response has been awful, y'all.
Trump is not a Republican, and he's just not.
If you're going to cut taxes, you also need to cut spending.
Spending is out of control.
$1 trillion deficit before this pandemic.
He doesn't care where our country ends up.
He has abandoned our allies.
Fighting foreign interference in our elections.
Joe Biden is a good alternative.
Is a moderate.
He's not a socialist.
Track record of working across the
I'm
aisle.
voting for Joe Biden.
For Joe Biden.
To ensure that this country isn't torn to shreds.
Defending Democracy Together is responsible for the content of this ad.
The President and First Lady are positive for COVID-19, now in quarantine at the White House.
The President will be heading over to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center.
You going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
She's really a beautiful baby, and she's got marvelous legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell.
Your daughter, she's beautiful. Can I say this? A piece of ass.
I've said that if Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that. I don't want to sound too much like a chauvinist, but when I come home and dinner's not ready, I go through the roof, okay?
She's probably deeply troubled and therefore great in bed.
Back in the day.
How come the deeply troubled women, they're always the best in bed? You don't want to be with them for the long term, but for the short term, there's nothing like it.
Our first introduction to him was when we were at the dress rehearsal and half naked changing into our bikinis.
I'll go backstage before a show, and everyone's getting dressed and ready, and I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. So I sort of get away with things like that. You dropped to your knees.
Yes.
It must be a pretty picture you dropped to your knees.
Dennis thought
A total of 9 women have now come forward with allegations of overtures by Roy Moore.
Get out and vote for Roy Moore.
The future president welcoming Jeffrey Epstein, Trump pointing out women dancing in front of them.
Ghislaine Maxwell is accused of sex trafficking underage girls.
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly.
At a rally in South Carolina Tuesday, Trump appeared to impersonate a disabled reporter.
I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
You know you're a fake. It's a racist question.
What a stupid question.
Keep your voice down. It's so cute.
Oh, look at my African American.
Even these spoiled, rich Jewish guys. They don't look like Indians to me. Grab them by the Stand back and stand by.
United, we can and will overcome. Time for we, the people, to come together.
Midas Touch is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I did more for the black community than anybody with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln, whether you like it or not.
It's out the season.
I think for me, you know, most
The review
views are in.
You have to go by where, look.
Here's what Trump's own people are saying about him. He's a moron. Rex Tillerson, Trump's Secretary of State.
We're lower than the world.
Lower than the world? He tries to divide us. James Mattis, Trump's Secretary of Defense.
You had a group on one side and you had a group on the other. Very fine people on both sides.
He's an idiot. John Kelly, Trump's Chief of Staff.
They weren't laughing at me.
A professional liar. Gary Cohn, Trump's economic advisor.
There will be no lies.
He thinks he's God. Barbara Rass, SVP of Trump Organization.
I am the chosen one.
Like an 11-year-old child, Steve Bannon, Trump's advisor.
I don't take responsibility.
I think we need to look harder at who we elect.
I don't think he's fit for office. I have the most loyal people.
Can America survive 4 more years? He's a moron. 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 Rex Tillerson, Trump's Secretary.
Motherfuckers think y'all run everything.
Motherfucker.
What? Motherfucker. You owe me some money, motherfucker.
You motherfuckers talking about? Motherfucker, I eat everything. I eat the pussy, I eat the butt, I eat every motherfucking thing. Motherfucker, I'll chew his ass up. Motherfucker. You a smart motherfucker.
English, motherfucker.
Motherfucker. We're not gonna store the motherfucker. I'm on the motherfucker. I'm a mushroom cloud laying motherfucker. Ha. You're closed, motherfucker. Sewer rat may taste like pumpkin pie, but I never know, because I wouldn't eat the filthy motherfucker. Motherfucker. It's the one that says bad motherfucker. That's my bad motherfucker. Goddamn motherfucker.
You racist motherfucker.
Juice, what do you got out here?
That's right, run, motherfucker.
Motherfucker shit don't stink, mouseketeer looking motherfucker. Sit your motherfucking ass down. Bad motherfucker. Cause I'm a bad motherfucker.
That's right. You can't kill me, motherfuckers.
Bad motherfucker. Give me a motherfucking hug. Motherfucking this motherfucker. You a fine motherfucker.
Motherfucker. You know all them motherfuckers is crooked as a barrel of snakes, motherfucker.
Motherfucker hung up on me, motherfucker. Motherfucking.
Freeze, motherfucker.
No, motherfucker. Look at me when I'm talking to you, motherfucker. Motherfucker.
I'm still alive, motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
God damn it. Waste the motherfuckers. Yeah, I said it. Waste the motherfuckers.
Motherfucker.
Freeze, motherfuckers. Disperse, motherfuckers.
April Fool, motherfucker. You knockoff wearing motherfucker.
Back up off the motherfucker.
Armani. Off the Armani. Motherfucking. You still motherfucking cracker, you know that, right?
Where's my motherfucking chemist?
Rest in peace. Motherfucker.
Taste the motherfucking rainbow.
Motherfucker. You better leave, brother.
Kiss my ass, brotherfucker. I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Motherfucker.
Bad motherfucker.
Motherfucking. I ain't trying to hurt no motherfucker. Police motherfucking brutality.
Motherfucker. Do the math, motherfucker. Nigga, please.
You can't be spooning with a motherfucker.
Ooh, you dirty motherfucker. Motherfucker. Let's go, motherfucker.
I don't have x-ray vision, motherfucker.
Motherfucker. You thought I stole that, I told you this motherfucker was klepto, motherfucker. All kinds of motherfuckers.
Motherfucker.
You motherfucker. These motherfuckers don't do shit, motherfucker.
Oh, motherfucker. Booger eating, piss drinking motherfucker. God damn you motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
This motherfucker